Round 3 is memorable scene, and I'm going to come straight to Paul for, I assume we're talking about the opening scene.
Ooh, no, we're talking about the letter typing scene where all the secretaries are typing. I'm just kidding. We're talking about the opening. What an opening. And just as an experience as well. I remember Channel 5, I think they got the exclusive rights to show the film for the first time. Because back in the day, before the internet, you had to wait until the film was either released on video or a TV station bought it. And I'm sure Channel 5, they got the exclusive rights to it. And the advert, like saying, we've got this film, was just the opening of that movie for about, cut down to about 2 minutes. And it got me so hyped. And I watched it and I couldn't believe how good it was. And it's been mimicked so many times. They've tried to capture that style in countless other films.
I remember watching it in media studies.
Yeah.
And there's so much to break down. I remember specifically seeing the moment when the camera goes under the water and then the sound, and it's that mix of silence and immediate sort of chaotic noise.
Yeah. And what works about it, I think, really well is that you know where they have to go to and you follow them as they go towards it. So it's a real journey for you as an audience member as well. Whereas the way that other films, it's shot over their shoulders almost. And the way that the other films are shot, I don't really feel like there's a scene in them where you kind of go through a charge with the characters. Whereas this, the way the camera works as well, there's a lot of shaky cam in it, and at points you feel like you're a soldier with them, and that works especially well when you go under the water. Dizzying. Yeah, exactly, because you're bobbing up and down under the waves as well, and then when you hit the sand, you kind of join Tom Hanks as he takes a moment of just complete shell shock and looks around him. And you're very much fixated from his point of view as well. And they do such a good job of capturing the perspective of people going through this charge. And I just love the way it works. It's got a real build-up. They have to make it to the top of the hill. But the amount of things that get thrown at them along the way.
It's like got a weird amount of comedy in it.
Yeah.
The bit when he gets hit in the helmet and he takes it off to admire the fact that his helmet saved him, and then he just gets shot in the head.
Yeah, there's
something darkly funny about that.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. And there's some almost blink and you'll miss it deaths in it. Like there's a guy on the radio talking away, and one of the characters looks over and starts speaking to him, looks back to another character, gets some more orders, goes back to the radio guy, and the radio guy's face is just completely caved in at that point. Jesus. And it's just, it works so well of just constantly catching you off guard. So there isn't a dull moment in it, and you just feel it completely bearing down on you. And then when they do get a moment at the end where they breathe a sigh of relief, you just say, wow, this has been non-stop. It's been completely relentless. It's very traumatic. I can totally understand why people have PTSD from this. At the opening scene I was reading today, there was actually veterans who couldn't finish that scene when they watched it in the cinema, and they just had to get up and walk out because it just recaptured that feeling of storming the beach so well. And
this is what I'm talking about. Like, obviously, our generation have never experienced anything like that. But just getting a glimpse, watching something like that is just like, nah. I can barely even watch this in a Hollywood-made film. I can't even imagine what it would be like. The fear that you'd feel when you're like on those boats, being like, all right, I guess me and my friends might die now. It's just horrid.
Yeah,
and it captures that feeling.
The sound design is absolutely incredible on it as well. It holds up really, really well in terms of just the way everything, the even throughout the film, the way that the rain hits the water, it kind of transforms into bullet sounds hitting things, and it's just so relentless, and you just feel for these characters going through it. And it does feel like a real gut punch watching it happen. Because I can imagine before this that a lot of war films like, Where Eagles Dare and The Great Escape and movies that were prevalent throughout the 60s, they didn't have this impact when the combat scenes happened. And to just see people storming the beach, you realise that it was horrific. There was no real glory in this. And if you got out of it, you were very lucky. But it's not something that you would ever want to go through, ever.
What really gets me about that scene is the claustrophobia, because like the choice to do Omaha Beach, because I know the other beaches, it wasn't quite the same. They weren't hitting this wall of defense. And it's so frightening when they reach that level, you know, with the sandbank, and they realize that like no one else has made it and there's nowhere else to go but forward is like where death is. And I find that particular moment the most frightening.
Yeah.
It's like
you can't turn around.
Yeah, you can't turn around.
As soon as that door goes down,
yeah,
it's either charge or stay where you are and get killed.